The international break doesn't seem so bad right now, does it? Hi, everybody. This is the Arsenal Way podcast. My name is Hammad, and you can follow me at H50. Thank you for joining in again. One of my episodes reached 1,000 views, and I would like to say a proper thank you to everyone that tuned in, subscribed, and who continue to listen to me babbling about the club I love. I don't know why, but you guys do. So I have a great guest with me today, Mark White from Twitter. His ad is Mark White with a one. How are you doing, Mark? All good? One, right?
So now, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Just try not to get banned again, Mike. So, see, Mark and yeah, so see, Mark and myself have contrasting views on the manager before, but I think we're on the same page now, so it's okay to
Yeah.
get in chat without trying to tear each other's hair off or something like that. Okay,
Yeah, I
so
think we'll be all right tonight.
yeah, we'll be fine. So,
Yeah.
mate, I just wanted to focus on the Granit Xhaka situation. I know you're a fan, and
Mm.
I know that the manager is a fan as well. I know that's something you two share, which well, you probably might not like. But the thing
Yeah.
is, how he's been treated in regards to the situation that he himself put himself in. To be honest, if I'm honest with
Yeah.
you, and yeah, and what do you see the club doing in the future to stop something like this from happening again? Because I can assure you, the fans won't be stopping anytime soon. And
No.
yeah, the way the fans have handled the situation has been awful, in my opinion. Um,
Mm.
and so has the club. So, what do you think are the repercussions of treating Granit Xhaka this way? Will this have an impact on the players that may come in the future, or will this just be a one-off and it'll be forgotten after he's left the club?
Um. Well, I think Jack is one of those players he's pretty much split opinion since he signed for us. I'm very much of the opinion that uh he's not the right player for the system. However, that doesn't mean he's completely useless. I think he takes an awful lot of flack that he doesn't deserve. I think that what happened against was it Wolves?
Yeah, it was in his Wolves.
It was Wolves, yeah. What happened was almost like a combination of kind of frustration on both sides, I think. Um, and to be honest, I feel like he's been hung out to dry a bit by Emery. I feel like by taking the captaincy away from him, I didn't feel like that was necessary. And to be honest, it gives the fans um, the wrong impression to me. I feel like by by showing them that all you have to do is boo a player when he gets substituted, and if they react back to you, then they could be heading out of the club. I felt like Wenger would never have taken the captaincy off Xhaka for that. I feel like Xhaka was very much in the wrong. I should point that out.
Yeah,
But
fair.
it did feel like a kind of boiling over of of tension rather than a kind of spontaneous act. Um, yeah, I don't know. And in regards to what you said about will it stop players coming to the club, I don't know. I don't think so. I can't think
Yeah.
of many other instances, to be honest, of such spats between the players and the fans, sort of on the pitch. Um, Not in England, at
Well,
least.
well, we've been actually responsible for that as well. Remember, Boué?
True. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a habit of doing this, don't we?
Yeah. I think it's something to do with Arsenal. That simply we have the highest ticketing prices in the league, and I personally believe that a lot of our fans have sort of stopped becoming fans and started becoming customers. And I feel like the match day experience now is, wanting entertainment. We were promised entertainment when the stadium was built, and it's almost like we're frustrated if we don't see a sort of peak Arsenal performance. Um, and we don't really support anymore our fans. I feel like we've had glimpses of it, like the comeback against Liverpool, and we sort of dragged them back to, what is it, 3-2, Mesut Ozil scoring that goal. There's been sort of bits and pieces here and there where we've had great atmospheres, but yeah, I don't feel like
You know,
we're great supporters,
yeah,
but
yeah, we are. But the thing is that our support has been a bit conditional from what I've seen. Um,
yeah, I
yeah,
agree.
it's in favor of some players, and it's not for others. I'll give you
Yeah,
an example. Um, suppose it was Aubameyang that did something what Granit Xhaka did against
yeah,
Wolves. He goes off and he tells the fans to fuck off and something like that. Um,
mm,
I don't really see the fans reacting this way, to be honest, because a lot of the others feel that because of Aubameyang's performances, it gives him leeway, and that
yeah,
he could say what he wants to say. And we'll get to the fans in another point. But don't you think that this is a little hypocritical in terms of the thinking of fans in general, not just Arsenal, that you need to be entertained and that the value of money that you pay has to be given in full by the players because apparently it's a product now,
yeah. I mean, yeah,
isn't it?
it's just the way the sport is headed. It's just that's capitalism, I guess. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying about Aubameyang, and Aubameyang has now come out and said, "I'll talk to who I want, and those who try and tell me what to do can fuck off." And is that really that much different to Xhaka? I don't feel like it is, but I don't. I think I feel like the Xhaka situation really could only have happened to Xhaka. I feel like it is, like I say, it's a boiling over of kind of us as fans are frustrated. I mean, you said that I'm a fan of him. I am a fan of him, but he frustrates the hell out of me. He really does, and he frustrates a lot of people. And I feel like when he left the pitch and the reaction that he had, although I understand it, there was almost like a sense from the fans of you don't get to do that. Uh, you don't get to talk back to us like that. It's funny, isn't
But
it?
they can, yeah,
There
but
are some
they
fans
can say
who,
whatever the hell they want. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think both sides are in the wrong here. I do feel for Xhaka. I feel like, yeah, it was just a human reaction in the heat of the moment. And now there's talk of him perhaps leaving. Although Emery's come out today and said that apparently he's ready to rejoin the squad. So things absolutely clear as mud, as usual at Arsenal, I think.
With Emery, it's never clear as mud because of his English. To be honest with you,
Okay.
well, yeah, sorry. So the thing is, mate, um, we've kind of regressed, and I'm saying that as an understatement. The club
Yeah,
off the pitch, I can see something happening. I understand what the club is doing off the pitch because there are some parts of where the club is going that I like, and there are some parts that I'm iffy about, such as sticking with Emery, for example. Um,
yeah.
but on the pitch, there really isn't anything. You see,
Uh,
Mark, we differ in how we watch football. Um, I like you for example are someone who really likes an attacking flary style of play. I'm someone
yeah,
who is more focused on a sustained style of play. I what I mean by that is that if we're going to be defensive, we have to be good defensively. If we're going to be an attacking team, we have to be good attack team. And what revolves around both of these styles is control. That is something that we lack extensively, and I feel that that's hampering us. So,
yeah.
in terms of the values of the clubs and how the style has integrated from the roots up, do you think that the next man to come in after Unai Emery has to be um, a head coach askew or someone in the mold of Arsene Wenger?
How do you mean in the mold of Arsene Wenger?
someone who's authoritative, who has a philosophy, who has a style, who has a few principles that he basically follows, and
Yeah,
he's not really a progressive, a pragmatic coach, in that sense.
I feel like we need. I feel like we need a degree of pragmatism. I feel like Arsenal at their best was built on pragmatism. Arsenal at their best was built on a solid base. Um, we had obviously the best back four in British football for about a decade. When Wenger had come in, he built his team on that. And one of the huge reasons that Wenger was successful in the early days was because he had that solid base. And I feel like, regardless of what's happened in sort of the latter half of Wenger's tenure, I feel like a lot of fans are calling back for that stability that you say, that control. Like when we signed Socrates, I feel like, despite the fact that he's not a very good player, he was a very welcome signing by a lot of people, because it's like, okay, he's a dependable centre back. He's played at a decent European team for quite a few years, good level. And I feel like even now, despite the good work that we've done off the pitch, we still don't have a very sort of stable spine to the team. Um, I feel like whoever comes in needs to define that, whether they are pragmatic, whether they want to play, tiki taka. Whoever comes in has to actually build a proper spine to this team that we haven't had since, Koscielny, Coquelin, Cazorla, sort of in the middle of the pitch, and that wasn't the strongest either. But we need to. You look at the way the Klopp's come in at Liverpool. He's obviously the archetypal example, and bringing in Alisson, Van Dijk, Fabinho, it's turned them into the best team in the world. Just those three players, and whoever we get needs to define the kind of the style, obviously, but to build that spine, I think is vital, regardless of the style of play.
Yeah, see, that's something that I am a bit of a fan of, because what what I really disliked about Arsenal's final few years was the fact that he was too naive when he faced teams that were away and teams that were better than us, basically. Um,
Yeah,
what I felt was that it was too arrogant in some spaces, but it was not as bad as this. What we're seeing right now.
no,
I don't really remember us acting like we're Portsmouth and fucking staying in our half while Leicester absolutely pummeled us. I don't remember
yeah,
seeing that under Arsene at any point, because of the fact that
no,
he used to have this aura about him that used to say, okay, we're Arsenal Football Club. We're going to come here to play, and we're going to play you off the park with our quality.
yeah,
I I understand. Yeah, I understood Arsenal's limitations, but Emery just took this respect ball a bit too figuratively and too seriously, don't you think?
mm, yeah, yeah. I feel like he's not big enough for the club. He treats Arsenal like
Spot
a
on.
small club. I said when he
Spot on.
came in that he was, he said something a few years ago, I think when he was at Sevilla, where he said 75% of his thinking before a game goes on the opposition. That's a lot. You think about
That's
Wenger, what would his thinking be? Maybe like 10, 20%. He might mark a certain player. He might, instruct his back four, like against Diego Costa in the 2017 FA Cup final. There was a clear sort of tactic of Mertesacker and Holding sort of doing a good cop, bad cop thing with Diego Costa. Like, that was his kind of, facing the opposition. This is what we've got to this is what we're up against, kind of thing. Emery just seems to have absolutely no plan A whatsoever. And whoever we face, there's some great plan of, oh, this is the way to beat Huddersfield at home. No, just put out your best team, and we've got the players to do it. I don't understand why he's so cautious. But yeah, when he came in, I thought that if he was to marry his pragmatism with Wenger's free flowing style, let the players do what they want, but with a stable base, he could be a success. And he did for a while, like in that 22 game unbeaten run. We started off games very cagey, very, very pragmatic, and as the game went on, we sort of loosened up. He made a lot of good halftime substitutions, and yeah, I don't know quite what's happened. It seems like the more he's implemented his philosophy, the less of an idea we have about
there's a
what it
philosophy.
is he wants to do.
There's a philosophy. I have no idea there was a philosophy, to be honest.
It's yeah, it's bamboozling. It really is.
Mate, respect ball isn't a philosophy. Good
No,
Ebenin isn't a philosophy. None of that is a philosophy. That's the grip I have with the guy.
yeah,
Let's look at Brendan Rodgers, for example. God forbid. The guy came into Leicester around I think January, if I'm not mistaken, and it took him 4 months, mate, to establish Leicester as a competitor for top four. And they sold Harry Maguire, by the way.
yeah.
And
This is always
yeah,
my
so
sorry.
yeah, go on.
I was going to say this was always my problem with Emery in the first season was a lot of people were saying, we need to give him time, we need to give him, the players he needs. When the likes of Sam Allardyce go to clubs, he saves them in sort of 3 months to go for the season, and then he says, oh, he needs time because it's not the kind of football that he plays. You can build a brick wall or you can build a cathedral. And Emery is a brick wall builder. He is not establishing some kind of grand masterful plan here. He just wants somebody to cross the ball into the box and somebody to tap it in. That's all he wants, literally, in an attacking move. So, like you say, with Rodgers, he established a positive, free-flowing style of play in 3 months, and they are playing like basically budget city with two sort of hybrid 8-10s, and the way that Leicester are playing at the moment is fantastic. And then you look at Emery, who's been in the job 15, 16 months now, and I don't think we've seen the same formation from 1 week to the next. Actually,
we've seen some really strange patterns from the manager as well.
Yeah, we have.
And especially regarding look, I'm not really against that 3-4-3 formation or getting three centre backs because David Luiz is at his best when he's in a three.
Yeah.
But what I am against is the fact that us focusing our entire focal point through the wings.
Yeah.
And that is just as predictable as Arsenal going central. Why aren't we mixing it up? That's our problem now. We're not mixing it up, mate. We're not mixing the style up as much as we like. We've lost Arsenal's functionality in the final third completely. It's completely dead right now. Even with Ozil, it's completely dead. So, in your opinion,
yeah,
I meant to say that in your opinion, what is the reason for that sudden expiration or disappearance of our final third play?
It looks like everything has to go out to the wings. It looks like that's what they're instructed to do. It's like Xhaka's going back to Xhaka. I think he is a key player for Arsenal in the fact that he is pretty much the only one who can move the ball vertically from deep, to be honest. In terms of deep midfielders, we don't have many players who can pass the ball vertically. He is one, and he's mainly, if you watch him, he mainly moves the ball out to left wing these days. Same with Özil. Özil's balls into the box have decreased. A lot of people have pointed to the fact that his assist level has dropped off over the last 18 months and saying, oh, he's lost it, he's not the same player. Like, he might not be athletically, but the style that Emery has got him playing, you watch him, just watch him with your eyes. He's moving the ball out wide more than he ever has. And I think that's the thing, is that the reason Arsene Wenger's teams were so difficult to play against was because of the unpredictability. And there was unpredictability there because he didn't try and organise the attack. It was just expression. That was all he asked for. I think he's the only manager to have beaten Guardiola 3 times, 3 different clubs. Like Guardiola at 3 different clubs.
It is.
And managers didn't like defending against Wenger, even towards the end, and it's because it was unpredictable. Players enjoy playing in unpredictable systems as well, attacking players anyway. And we have no unpredictability in the final third. It's it's so obvious that Kolasinac is going to make the overlap. Ceballos or Xhaka will play it out wide to Kolasinac, and then he'll either cut it back or hit it far post.
And there will be a huge gapping hole in the middle of the pitch with no one occupying it, with Lacazette and Aubameyang also ironically wide. Yeah. So that's pretty depressing. And here's something that's going to be even more depressing, mate. So I pulled up some statistics from the Wolves game, and this does not make for pretty reading. We conceded 25 shots against Wolves at home. 25 at home.
Yeah.
And we are currently conceding an average of 16.3 shots per 90. And that is up from 13.1 shots per 90 in Emery's first season. And this was Arsene, and the previous seasons under Arsene Wenger, this is the highest it's been since 2013-14 when he had 11.9 shots per 90. And that was when we got absolutely hammered by the big teams. It's escalated because of that. So there's a really big debate to be had here that he's actually made us worse defensively.
Yeah, I feel like personnel-wise, I don't feel like we've got that much worse since Wenger left. I think we've probably improved the squad. Obviously, we lost, like someone Monreal and Koscielny, but I don't think anybody was really mourning them.
Ramsey, we are.
Ramsey's the only one really that we've kind of lost. I was thinking Welbeck as well, but he was injured for so long. I feel like the fact is that the old adage is that if you have the ball, your opponents can't score. And Emery doesn't seem to want to have the ball if we've got more than happy to concede possession. I think the most angry I've been with Emery was actually the first half against Spurs this season at the Emirates, when we sat back and we let Tottenham dictate play in their half, and we let Harry Winks on the ball far too much. And you compare it with last season, when Spurs were trying to play out from the back, pass it around the back 3, I think they had that day. Might be wrong. The pressing game from Arsenal is probably the best pressing game in that match that I'd seen forever, really.
In a while.
Wenger never really pressed, and that kind of press was effective against Tottenham. And I watched them this season, and I thought, why are we sitting off when it worked so well last season? Why are we letting Tottenham have the ball at the Emirates Stadium? This is part of a pride thing as well. Like, we are Arsenal. We control games. We dictate play. We've been doing that since Wenger took over. Like, why? We have the players to do it as well. I don't understand why players who are better in possession, like David Luiz, like Ceballos, like Granit Xhaka, like Mesut Ozil, Uh, I'd say Guendouzi as well, to be honest. Why are these players being instructed not to, to sit off the ball and then counter? I just don't get it. I really don't.
It's like the manager is trying to mold them into something they're not. And that is
Yeah.
and that's a huge point that basically gets coaches sacked. It's you can argue that it's been so long and Emre doesn't even know his strongest 11. I'm not sure he even knows the balance of his midfield. I'm not sure he knows who his better defenders are. I'm not even sure he knows where to play his front three attackers. The only three positions that I can think of that he's nailed is Leno and the two fullbacks, and that is pretty much it. Everywhere else, there are problems, and
Yeah.
there's a growing and the growing trends in the Premier League, mate. It's it's changing. As a manager, you have to adapt to the kind of squad that you have, despite the obvious issues. We lack athleticism and technicality in key areas. That's
Yeah.
that's something that's mooted. That's something that we all know. But we also have some level of technicality and some level of aggression in the middle of the park with Torreira and Willock as well. And
Yeah.
one of the worst things that I can see if Emre do is play Torreira up front because it makes no sense at all. He, in my opinion, is our best midfielder, and
Yeah, I agree.
he,
Yeah.
yeah, he is. He's someone that can dictate play, and he's someone that can. He I don't go into this mold that he can't pass the ball. He can pass the ball pretty well, and
No,
he
I
can
agree.
do it. Yeah, he can do it with great variations and great aggression and great intensity. But ever since his second season with us, that kind of intensity, just like our team, has dropped. And instead of passing the ball, he's making the runs into the box. The bloke is furious. His agent is furious, and we are about to lose him. And that is basically down to the manager. Do
I
you
think the
think that
thinking.
yeah, go on.
I was going to say, I think the thinking from Emery with Torreira is that if he can win the ball higher up the pitch with Torreira, then um, then we gain possession further up the field. But it doesn't. This doesn't make sense. There's no structure to it. It's just not.
Mate, it's not
Yeah,
even
it
about the
clearly
structure.
doesn't work. It clearly doesn't work. So I don't know why he's persisting with it.
I don't understand. Look, I get the point that you're trying to make in saying that Torreira would win the ball higher, but for that you need great recovery speed and athleticism. Torreira
Mm,
lacks that, and
yeah.
he's basically chasing shadows when he's tracking back. He's not Conte. He won't be able to win the ball high up the pitch as aggressively as he does. So I don't understand it. Just play him with Granit Xhaka, or play him as the six, and
Yeah.
get David Luiz further forward to play the ball if he's struggling. I that's my perspective on this. Um, so, what do you think it should be our most balanced midfield three? And I'm not counting Ozil as one of the midfielders, by the way.
No, I'm not. I feel like I feel like depending on what we play, either a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3. If we go with a double pivot, then Xhaka and Torreira are the best options. I feel like that's a given. After last season, you only have to look at the games we won with them and the games we lost with one of them missing. I, in a midfield three, personally, I would say Torreira deepest, and then at the moment I would say probably
It's hard, isn't it?
it's difficult because I would say perhaps the best performance we've had from the midfield this season came with Willock and Ceballos as the number eights.
Yeah,
But
it did
Guendouzi's
against
been
Burnley.
against Burnley, but Guendouzi has been obviously one of the bright sparks of the season.
A-
Um,
And ironically, he's the only one who says, "Fuck the tactics, I'm going in alone," and he does control the game entirely his
exactly.
own way.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Just under the whole time under Emery, I'd say apart from Aubameyang, the players who have looked best under Emery have been the ones like that, like Ramsey, like Kolasinac, the kind of, okay, let's grab the game by the throat kind of players.
And we
Yeah.
don't have those anymore. So the
Not
manager
really.
should really focus on the fact that he should emphasize the squad strength rather than his own, and he's doing the latter right now.
Yeah.
He
I feel like
he's
our midfield is quite deficient, to be honest.
it is, and
I
we lack
great.
basic profiles in midfield, mate, because
Yeah.
the Premier League is changing in the way that it controls midfielders. There are very few ball players right now.
Mm,
Jorginho, who is the one I can think of. Rodri is the another one. Um,
mm,
and Fabinho, I don't think is a ball player personally. Um, I'm struggling, mate. There really aren't many ball players. There are ball progressors with runs, but there are not many ball players who can, sit back and dictate play. We have one but he has too many faults, and we have a young kid who's 19 and who's having a bit of a dip. So
mm.
yeah, so I'm struggling here. Um, where does the balance come from? Because what we need instead of Granit Xhaka would be someone who would be willing to make the runs, who would be willing to be aggressive with his positioning, and who would be willing to track runners and get the ball across. So we don't have that player, do we?
No. No,
Yeah,
in terms of Xhaka's role in the squad, I feel like he is either a number 6 against weaker opposition, or he's in a double pivot where he is properly covered by Torreira. I feel like it's almost a game of kind of rock paper scissors with our midfielders, and the fact that they have all got great strengths, but they also have big weaknesses. They really do. Xhaka, obviously his mobility is the biggest issue, and I'd say that's probably the biggest talked about player weakness in our entire squad is Xhaka's mobility. In terms of like Torreira, his physicality, he's not, he's not big enough. In terms of Guendouzi, he doesn't have the kind of final third impact that you want him to. Like, I don't think he's contributed many chances. I don't think he's created many chances. I don't know the stats on that, but just watching him, he's a kind of first and second phase player to me. And then there's Ceballos, who really flatters to deceive. That's without getting onto Willock, but Ceballos, yeah, he doesn't seem to be able to break lines with his passing, which is a major issue for a player like him. Yeah, they all have such weaknesses, and you only have to look down the road at like Ndombele. And Ndombele, I'd say is pretty much he's the ideal midfielder. He's a complete midfielder, really.
and the
Um,
fact that he's struggling and under the devil, I think he'll perform well, to be honest, and that's
well, I think
unfortunate.
Sissoko as well. Sissoko will be incredible. I said at some point last season that I'd like a player like Sissoko at Arsenal, and I came under fire for it. But I stick by that. Yeah, I don't really have much faith in our midfield at the moment. I think we've got some nice little profiles, but especially with the style of play that we're playing, it's not.
Mate, we don't have a style of play.
All right,
Y-
the lack of style of play.
Yeah, thank you. Much better. Um,
Yeah. No,
so I think when I see our midfield, the only one that I can see who has um, less flaws is Joe Willock. His flaws aren't out there that everyone can see and figure out. He
mm,
is someone who's growing in stature even now. He's he's aggressive. He's a good passer. He gets into the box really well. He times his runs brilliantly, by the way. That's a credit to Freddie Ljungberg. And
yeah.
he's developing into someone that can replace Aaron Ramsey. So,
Yeah.
in my opinion, he should start every game. He should be starting every game for us
I'm
until the end
I'm
of the
sorry.
season. Yeah, it's controversial, but like I said, his weaknesses aren't glaring, mate. It's not out there. Like I can pinpoint Lucas Torres' physicality, Granit Xhaka's mobility, Guendouzi's lack of athleticism. But with Willock, the only thing that I can think of that he's really poor at is probably not playing in the final third like Ozil. But that's not his game. That's not his role at all. And even if he doesn't do that, it doesn't cost us games or he doesn't cost us points. He does everything well that you'd expect from a well-rounded midfielder. And I personally think that he should be the one starting.
I feel like as well, players at that age, you almost need to like throw them a rope and see what they can do.
Yeah.
I feel like he's not his finished form. He doesn't know what kind of midfielder he's going to be. He's probably got a good idea, but he needs to game time. He needs to learn. He needs to make mistakes on the job. He's not really getting that game time. He's sort of getting appearances here and there, but yeah, going back to the midfield, I feel like it's very strange that we hired a manager who I thought would play a 4-2-3-1. He has chucked out he's frozen out Ozil, who is by far and away our first choice to be the number 10 in a 4-2-3-1. And got rid of Ramsey, who would be, I'd say, second choice. And then the players that he's brought in, the midfielders that we currently have at this club, are all players who have played in that double pivot. And yet, we've barely played in a 4-2-3-1 at all. And whenever we see Mesut Ozil now, it's always in a diamond or with a back three. He doesn't trust Ozil unless there are 5 central players behind him. It's very strange.
Yeah, it is. And one of the few okay, I'm fuming. Anyways, let's just take Nicolas Pepe under the microscope for a minute. We know he's struggling, and I personally feel that 5 assists and 3 goals in around 14 appearances is all right. It's fine. It's not something great, but I can live with that. But the fact is that he gets the ball so wide off the wide areas of the pitch, and then he's told to dribble half the team and get into the box. That is not sustainable by any means. And he has no one. Yeah, he has no one to combine with. He is basically told that, mate, here's the ball. There are 3 defenders in front of you. You got to escape all of them and smash the top bins. Otherwise, you're a failure. That's basically the position that the manager has put him in. Do you think that is fair in any circumstances to Nicolas Pepe?
No, I don't. I feel like, you've put the nail on the head there. It's you're right. He's not given enough support. Not from his fullback, not from the midfield. Like we've been saying, the midfield are all kind of second phase midfielders, or kind of deep midfielders, apart from maybe Willock. I don't really see Ceballos as decent in the final third either, to be honest. That affects Pepe. I had reservations when we signed Pepe, if I'm honest. He was part of a counter-attacking team at Lille, and I didn't know whether. I mean, I kind of knew that Emery wouldn't be the most positive of
influences on the kid.
No, but I did wonder if Pepe would be able to replicate his form. But then at the same time, I don't think any of our signings from the summer have shone, apart from Martinelli.
None of them have shown, to be honest.
It was a good summer. A really good summer.
It was.
Found some good players. I was dreading that summer, and it was, But yeah,
Pepe. I'll get back to you on that. I'll focus on Salah for a bit. So, I've noticed a pattern when Salah receives the ball in the right wing, and I feel that we should try and develop the same kind of patterns. You see, when Salah gets the ball in the right wing, Alexander-Arnold is making a decoy run around his right-hand side. Henderson is making another run in the half space. And Firmino is, he's attentive to 2 centre-backs who are following him around. So Klopp is basically providing Salah with every avenue to affect the game. and that is something that we're not doing with Nicolas Pepe. Klopp is giving him space, he's giving him time, he's giving him options. And as
Yeah.
a wide player, that's what you'd want. I've seen enough from Nicolas Pepe to and I was along with you on that one, that signing him worried me as well. But I've seen enough of him to say that, you know what, he's going to do okay. He'll be fine.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Yes.
I
So
don't know if he's a £2 million player, but I don't think it really matters, to be honest. I'd just like to get a little bit more out of him than we're currently getting, which isn't difficult, to be honest. But yeah, it's very worrying that it seems to be, okay, let's sign this player, let's give him the ball, like you say, let's I's got to dribble around 3 players. It seems like we're almost kind of doing a kind of what Chelsea became with Hazard, of just give the ball to Hazard, he'll do something. And Pepe's not that kind of player.
Yeah, I know, but Chelsea still provided Hazard with a little bit of support in the middle and around the half spaces. But we don't. We do not.
Yeah.
And the one guy that can help Pepe out possibly is Mesut Ozil, and he doesn't play. So you tell me.
It seems like no more than 3 attacking players on the pitch at any one time.
How dare 3 of them make the runs into the box? I only asked for 2.
Pepe, Lacazette, and Aubameyang. If we play a front 3, if we go 3 at the back, then there'll be 3 attackers. Sometimes just 2.
So it's still a really unbalanced side, isn't it?
Yeah.
We don't know. Even we as fans have no idea what we're supposed to be. So how are we expecting the manager to figure us out? So, mate, I'm just gonna go towards another statistics here, and
okay.
Apparently Ashley Barnes has more shots on goal than Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and and that is shocking.
Yeah.
I am appalled at what we're creating in the final third. We're basically not creating anything. Our XG is awful. We're conceding the most shots in Europe at one point. We've surprisingly improved on that. Yay. But everything else is just so mediocre. We're not giving Aubameyang the avenues to infect the game. He's a less touch player that'll score the odd goal and do his little flips. And we're restricting him to 3 shots in 3 games. How ridiculous is that? Someone of his level, and we're not giving him chance after chance like he used to get at Dortmund, where he scored 40 goals in a season, and here where he barely gets the credit that he deserves from some fans. Like I said, I include in that. So I'm just gonna ask: should Arsenal try and see Aubameyang as the focal point of the attack and cut our losses with Lacazette, or not?
That's a tricky one with Aubameyang and Lacazette, because I've been quite critical of Laka lately. But it seems like we've got a home striker and an away striker. It's very strange. We've got a striker for when we have possession and a striker for when we don't. I personally favour Aubameyang. I don't feel like Wenger ever wanted Lacazette. I feel like Lacazette was always a second option that summer. And I don't feel like Lacazette has really delivered any more than Giroud did. And yeah, the team's got worse since Lacazette's joined, but I feel like it's kind of inexcusable, really, Lacazette's away record. 4
It's
goals
awful.
last season away from home, all against relegated teams.
But again, mate.
Go on.
Yeah, but again, mate, isn't that basically correlated to how we play as a team away and how much we create?
It is, yeah, it is. But Aubameyang's got a much better record. If we score away from home, it's Aubameyang.
But mate, Aubameyang is Aubameyang is basically elite. Lacazette needs chances to score. He's not at that world-class category, but he's a good striker. And we're really not creating anything for them.
No.
The Leicester game. Yeah, the Leicester game. We cast aside Lacazette for missing those chances. But when I look back at the game and I look at the statistics, we didn't really create anything of note. We did not create anything of substance for our strikers. And look, every striker is going to miss about 3 chances and score 1. And we're basically expecting our forwards to score every half a chance they get. That's a 40% chance. That's a 40% chance that he's going to score. So isn't that a bit unfair on Lacazette, considering that the entire team plays like crap away from home?
It is. It is. However, if you're the front man, it falls on your shoulders. And yeah, we don't. I've been critical of Lacazette, but I feel like if we were to sell him in January, he wouldn't have had a fair crack at the whip, really. And I feel like when we signed Aubameyang, there was a lot of talk of, can he play with Lacazette? Are we going to have to play a front two or get rid of him? And we still don't really know. But I've always felt that the most devastating teams in English football have always had at least 2 top strikers. Like we had Bergkamp and Henry, we had Kanu, Wiltord at our best. The way that United had Ronaldo, Rooney, and Tevez, they were all world class when they won the Champions League and Premier League double. I've never really been in favour of selling Lacazette, to be honest. I don't see the point unless we desperately need the funds.
Exactly.
He offers something different to Aubameyang. Aubameyang is a top striker, but he's not flawless. And Lacazette is able to kind of conjure that magic at home, when the ball's sort of under his feet and he's in and around the box, and sometimes it just falls to him, and he's a lot better with the ball at his feet than Aubameyang, put it that way. So yeah, it's difficult with those two. The thing that I'm worried about is, or the thing that I do worry about is getting them both in the same team, simply because, well, they're both our top scorers. We need to crowbar them both into this side when they clearly don't. We're clearly unbalanced elsewhere.
And the fact that they get unhappy.
Yeah. I think that's another big thing as well. Is we need to satisfy the 2 biggest egos in our team, which is ironic when we're not satisfying Mesut Ozil's ego. But let's not go into that. I feel like we've been saying, we need to fix this midfield. Like you said, there's no structure to the profiles we have. Obviously, the defence is a perennial issue with Arsenal and always will be, I think. Unless Tony Adams comes out of retirement, we're not fixing the defence at this club at all. We need to get our house in order before we start thinking about front 2, front 3 with Aubameyang on the left. What about Pepe? What about Lacazette playing a Firmino role? We need to just put our best foot forward with whatever system we have and stick to it. And if it means one striker, it means one striker.
And if it means making the other one unhappy?
Yeah, then it means making the other one unhappy. That's the only way I see it, really. We've been trying to keep them both happy for so long.
This episode has become fucking depressing.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It's clearly not working. Whatever's happening with the front 2.
You see, this is where I have a little bit of a sympathy for Emery. We as fans have no fucking idea what we're supposed to do. You and me are racking our brains over this podcast on what's the right place and what's the right formation. Imagine the guy managing these bastards.
Yeah.
And, specifically that nut job Tierney. So I'm going to talk about the fullbacks a bit here. Okay, Mark, I love Hector. He's my favorite player in the team right now, and Tierney is close. Yeah, Tierney is close to being my second, and the reason for that is that I love the guy's attitude. I love how humble he is. I love how hardworking he is, and he complements Bellerin perfectly. And I saw that compliment if Bellerin had played against Wolves. There was a time in the first half, for the first 10 minutes or so, where Adama Traore got past him twice, I think. And then after that, he didn't get a sniff. And
Yeah.
I love how Tierney defends. I love how passionate he is, and I think that he'll complement Bellerin really well. But here's the thing: if we're going to rely on two fullbacks to be our creative outlet, a la Liverpool, then we should really have another wide player on the left-hand side, shouldn't we?
Another wide player.
Yeah, kind of like, I don't know, Zaha.
Yeah. I feel like we would have better balance if we had, say, Zaha, Aubameyang, and Pepe as front three. I think the reason it works for Liverpool is that they have such a physical, strong midfield.
Base.
Yeah, and defence, obviously, with Van Dijk. Yeah, I'm
See, I told
personally,
you.
I'm not. Yeah,
I told you, mate. It's pretty hard, and we're blaming the
is.
coach.
Yeah, nice. It's
When you
not
sit
easy.
down and you start, and when you sit down and you start reflecting on some of this stuff, and it really hits you that it really is bloody hard. And I understand that the squad is overall getting stronger and better in terms of balance, but the unbalancing is still there, and it's still affecting
Yeah.
us, and it's still holding
Yeah,
us
we're still
back.
going back.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But see, okay, let's go back to the manager here.
Oh.
He's obviously not good enough. Okay,
No.
he's not. I feel that the guy is a good mid-table coach who's going to get the best out of a side that is working on a strong budget to push for a top 5 finish, just to push for it. He is not someone who I'd place at a top club because he doesn't think like a top manager.
No, he doesn't.
He's mate. What is the style that you'd describe Emre for? Is he a reactive coach or is he proactive?
I'd say he's reactive. I wouldn't say he's proactive at all. He in his mind he believes that he is attacking. According
That's
to what he says, I defend to attack. Was his quote.
he defends.
He defends to attack.
Well, if he says so, because
Yeah.
okay,
And he doesn't really defend at the moment, but he is reactive. He reacts to teams. I've never seen. We've so rarely dictated a match under Emery. It's quite. I don't enjoy watching Arsenal as much as I used to because of it.
No,
I
yeah.
liked watching us take a game by the throat and dictate play.
The only game this season that I really enjoyed was the Aston Villa one, and ironically, we had to go down to 10 men to play well. And
Yeah,
ironically, and ironically, 10 men meant tactics out the door, impose yourself on the team, and try to force the equalizer or the winner. And that's what we ended up doing. And that's what made me love that game. Mate, pragmatism has to be balanced, right? I mean, you can't go and be pragmatic against 19th place Southampton. That's happening, by the way. Everybody listening to this, you can talk me out on that. You can call me out on that. He's sitting back and he's inviting them over, and Redmond is scoring. I don't care. Fine.
Yeah, in that game, unfortunately, but
It's like Arsene Wenger's last few years where we knew exactly how the game was going to go.
yeah,
So just a little quick tip. Emery is a reactive coach, as you said, but he constantly calls us protagonists, right?
yeah.
So where is the protagonist? Because all I see is an antagonist, to be honest.
He also said I prefer to win 5-4 than 1-0, and that's also blatantly not true. I don't know. I honestly don't know exactly what he wants. He's I think he's scared of opening the team up, um,
He's
of letting them express themselves too much. But I do feel in the wake of him leaving Arsenal, I feel like we will learn a lot. I feel like the time his time is almost up. He had the dreaded vote of confidence the other week where they came out and said, "Well, we don't have any plans to look for a new manager, like via Ornstein." Um, and I don't feel like he's going to be there much longer. And I feel like it just seems to be following this pattern that happens with Premier League managers. I feel like it will come out of, Emery didn't trust this and didn't trust that, and Emery wasn't happy about this, wasn't happy about that, and I don't feel like we're getting the whole picture at the moment, but it certainly seems like he doesn't like egos because he doesn't want Ozil around. It seems like he doesn't seem to trust a lot of the players that he has. Like he's very quick to drop players who have underperformed, um, which is almost like polar opposite to Wenger. Wenger would stick with players through the worst form. He really would. Um, so it's. I think he's worried about. I think he knows the job's too big for him, and I think he wants safety first. I think that's the kindest way to put it. He wants us to be a safety first team.
um the safety first thing annoys a lot of fans, and that's myself included. But I
Yeah.
have a different theory.
Handbrake off.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Go on.
Yeah. I have a different theory. Um, Emery is someone who says one thing but does another. And
Yeah.
it's his nature that takes over what he wants. He wants us to control games, he wants us to attack, he wants us to create chances. But at the end, his nature controls what he wants. It's his nature to be reactive and pragmatic. No matter how much he tries to be this big team coach and influence games and style of play, everything. At the end of the day, he's afraid of the opposition. He's a coward.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that cowardness starts to take over as soon as games draw near. And when they draw near, you realize that this guy is completely out of his depth and that he should be nowhere near a top club that has that has basically been in limbo recently, to be honest. So uh, yeah, that's my stance on the guy. I want him gone, but at the same time, I understand managers. I understand, sorry, not the managers. I understand Raul Sanlehi and Edu waiting
Yeah.
because we cannot afford to get the guy after him wrong. Suppose we had probably hired somebody like, for example, Eddie Howe, and the guy failed. I know you watch Bournemouth a lot, so you probably know more about him than I do. So
Yeah.
So, what do you think? Would someone like him be more in contrast with the values of the club or the style?
Um, I would say philosophically, yes, he is more in line with Wenger. Him, Pochettino, and him and Pochettino are basically the two most kind of Wenger-like coaches for me. Pochettino for different reasons, but Howe is very Wenger-esque. He his philosophy is based on trusting the players as individuals rather than as roles. He wants expression from his team. He uh, he would, especially in these sort of early years of Bournemouth, he would be much more bothered about putting on a show than keeping a clean sheet. Um, yeah, I have doubts over Eddie Howe being Arsenal manager, but I would probably take him.
Yeah, probably. Oh my lord.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would probably. He's risen to every challenge he's ever had. Like he saved Bournemouth when they were on minus 17 points, and he got them to the Premier League. You know, he's every step that seemed a little bit too big for him, he's managed to rise. But I don't think he'd go to Arsenal. I don't think he'd leave.
Is he loyal to Bournemouth?
I think as much as he's loyal to Bournemouth, it's the fact that he is building something bigger than a team on the pitch. They've got a new training ground that's being built now, just down the road in Camford Heath, and he wants a new stadium. He's pushing for that, and he knows that there's absolutely no expectation on him to finish, like in European places. There's no kind of clamoring from the Bournemouth fans of, where are we going exactly, because they've never been at this level. And the Bournemouth fans that I know would be, still 100% behind the manager if they were relegated this season. That's the fact of it. And they've never really been close to relegation. They've never been drawn into the battle.
It's why his name keeps being dropped in the box, mate, because he's not really poor. He has Bournemouth pushing above their weight, and I mean by a lot.
He really does, because he hasn't replaced the coaches that were there in League One. Explains some of the kind of defensive and goalkeeping issues, really. They've still got, like, League One level. And you look at the players coming out of the Bournemouth Academy, like, one of the big stars to come out was Bailey Cargill. They had high hopes for him, and he went to League Two. And I think, or League One, I can't remember. That the academy hasn't grown with the club. They've kind of grown far too quickly, and now the rest of the club is playing catch up. They have an awful record of knee injuries, which has probably something to do with either the facilities or the rehabilitation or something along those lines. They're not really built like a big club, and he's still kept them in Premier League. So, yeah, whether or not he's ready to take the absolute shambles that is Arsenal Football Club and get them into the top four and keep them in the top four and work for owners that don't care and have probably quite a measly budget and deal with the fact that our players seem to all run their contracts down, and Aubameyang and Lacazette seem to be the next two to do so. Whether he could do all of that, I don't know. But I would have more faith in him doing it than a lot of managers, simply just because of what I've watched at Bournemouth.
So him pushing above the weight is one of the reasons that you think that he's going to be great if he does come in.
I would give him a fighting chance. I wouldn't say he'd be great. I would say that I would probably enjoy the football a lot more. I think that's a good start. Would we win anything under him? I don't know. But would we win anything under any manager right now? I don't know. I think there's very few managers out there at the moment who could come to Arsenal and make a huge difference. Apart from one that was sacked the other day by a North London club.
But and that another North London club's hired said winner. Again, that's going to be glorious. By the way, I'm going to love that every moment of it. The euphoria, the realization, the downfall. 3 seasons of absolute beautiful moments. I have my popcorn ready. I don't know about you.
North London derby is going to be incredible. By the way,
it's gonna be incredible, man, incredible. Especially imagine if we somehow snap Pochettino away.
Oh, don't even. I want him more than anything. I've got so much hope that Raul is actually the genius that we all said he was. Like if he could pull off Poch, it's never going to happen. But if he could pull off Pochettino, it would just be like Sol Campbell on acid. It would be amazing.
See, in my opinion, he already is a genius because of the window that we had. So I trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, the window was, the window was out of my expectations. Like, it was something out of dream. I did not expect us to do what we did in the summer, and because of that, I feel that at least in terms of off-field promises and squad building, we're going in the right direction. It's
Yeah,
the on-pitch issues that are the problem. Um,
for sure.
so okay, so mate, we're gonna wrap this up with one last question, and I'm just gonna quickly ask about Arteta here, because a lot of people here are gonna be foaming at the mouth at the prospect of a former player taking over, and that too as his first job. I'm not really
Yeah.
convinced. Um,
No, I'm
I'm,
not.
yeah, I'm not, because it's mate. We criticize Gazidis for saying that the manager himself was hired because of his interview. Isn't that basically the same thing we're rating Arteta on?
That's a good point. Yeah. I
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like the Arteta thing, yeah, nobody knows what Arteta's going to be like as a manager. He talks a good talk, and a lot of people seem to think he will be a good manager. But there's no way to tell really until he's actually coached. And people point and say, "Oh, but he's worked well with Sterling and with Sane." We won't know. We won't know until Arteta actually takes the reins at a club. And I expect he'll be a good manager. I don't know how good. But if we
I
were
ex-
to hire Arteta, it would be such a huge gamble. I was pretty opposed to it actually when Wenger left. I have to say I was actually quite relieved when we got Emery, and that might turn around and kick me in the face basically because yeah, I really was like, oh thank God we've hired a manager with proven record, and now
no
look at him.
no, it's not really an outlandish opinion, because I was the same way.
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
want when mate, we're not trial and error, and that's something that fans have to realize. We're Arsenal Football Club. We have a stature, we have a role, and we're basically the third biggest club in England. So
yeah.
we're not supposed to be some manager's kiddie toy to try and uh, pass his audition to manage Manchester City or Barcelona or Madrid. We're not that. We've never been that, and we shouldn't accept anyone who isn't on par with what we want as a club. Arteta isn't, in my opinion. Marco Rose, Thomas Tuchel, Fonseca, all of these coaches are, because they're showing us what they're trying to do. When you're managing, even I'd even say Gerrard is someone who's showing us what he's trying to do. He beat
Yeah.
Porto, by the way.
Mm.
So these things matter when you're managing a big club. Okay, if we were Everton or we were Watford, I'd say okay, give Arteta the chance that he deserves because he has potential. We're not them. We're bigger than them.
There was a good point that somebody made on Twitter that if we give it to Arteta for the rest of the season, that would be a good shout. I'm not. I can see the logic in that. I can see I can see why giving it to Arteta for that length of time, see what he's about. But yeah, I think we need to be recruiting the best man for the job. We need to be looking out there and saying, okay, who can we actually get who has the experience, who has the philosophy. Some of the names you mentioned, Marco Rose, Thomas Tuchel, those are the kind of managers that I would like personally. I'm very much in favour of Nagelsmann taking over at the moment.
Pipe dream.
Yeah, I would love him to come. Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one for the next manager. Football is
It's
such a
every
funny game, isn't it? Tottenham are managed by Jose Mourinho. Anything can happen in this game.
pretty much. Okay, so mate, that's gonna be all the time we have. This has basically been a discussion of how shit we are rather than a podcast episode, but I'll
Pretty
take
much.
it. Yeah, I'll take it.
Oh,
Um,
much to
th-
talk about
th-
at the moment.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, we'll probably have you on the next episode as well, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Thanks for joining me, Mark. This has been the Arsenal Way podcast. You can follow Mark on his Twitter at Mark White. That's White with one in it. And you can follow me at HFooty, HFOOTY. So we're going to see you next time. Thank you very much. Okay.
Brilliant.